Hello and welcome back to Typical City. Omar Berrada has jumped ship. Time to panic, Manchester City fans. We all know this man is vital to Manchester City's success. Apparently, according to United fans, it is time to panic and it's time for them to celebrate as if they've done something, as if they've won the league. Poor United fans, they've got very little to actually shout about nowadays. So, give the dog a bone, let the baby have its bottle at the end of the day. Let them have this one in terms of some sort of success story, but they're being lied to. They're being out and out lied to, and what is even more fascinating is the Manchester United's law degrees, the United fans' law degrees are transferable. I mean, God knows what university these guys are attending to, but their brains must be like, like the most unbelievable knowledge Manchester United fans have. Insane, because they're transferable from law degrees to business degrees. I want to go to this university where they are able to attain such knowledge. It's incredible. It really, really is, because they're the experts. They know the be-all and end-all of what this means to Manchester City and what this means to Manchester United. There's very little in the public domain that we actually can make sense of, to be honest, because there's only titles, job titles, in which we can go off. But in terms of Manchester United, I do think this is a good move to a certain degree for Manchester United fans. I do think it's good. I think there's an element of quality to the fact that they're signing someone whose commercial experience is of the highest quality. Absolutely. In terms of Manchester City, though, I don't think there's very much to panic about. Now, in terms of jumping ship, let's be honest, if he was signing for Aston Villa or he was joining Fulham or Brighton or anything like that, they wouldn't be headlines. It wouldn't be headlines. It's from one city to another, which to me is an indication of, I would guess, we're all speculating as to why he's moved. I think he was at the top rung of the ladder that he was able to climb. There are people far higher up than him at Manchester City. Ferran Soriano is our CEO and he ain't taking his job. So he'd reached his ceiling at Manchester City. There is a more potential for him at Manchester United. He was going from a medium-sized fish in an ocean at Manchester City to the big Don, the big fish in a polluted puddle at Manchester United. That's what he's going to do, and he's trying to get rid of that pollution from a commercial sense. So he's got more responsibilities, but he doesn't have to travel far because they think they're taking CEO of Manchester City. They need to be clued up on that he is not Manchester City's CEO. He has nothing to do, very little to do with Manchester City. He once was the commercial director of Manchester City, and I'll get onto that shortly as well. But what he is now was the head of the CFG group. He was running the commercial side of things at the CFG. Now, United fans, very few of them probably even know what that is. You only need to go and look at the La Liga table to see how the highest quality that Omar Berrada has done, what he achieved in creating this innovative structure of a CFG group where City now have, the City Football Group have City sister clubs, with Manchester City being the flagship club for this model, which usually has a trickling down of players being loaned out strategically to these clubs, and financially the money trickles back up to the top at CFG Group, which is then distributed accordingly. So with regards to who they are taking someone from our CFG Group. In terms of Manchester City, there is very little disadvantage to us, because the reports are suggesting that Omar Berrada leaving CFG Group would therefore be, it's enough of a task that, one, I think he's left a fantastic structure behind, which is almost self-sustainable. Then Ferran Soriano and Brian Marwood, who is the global director of football, Cheeky Bergenstein, the director of football, who can all manage this job that he's left behind and delegate it between them and effectively split the workload between the already members that we have at Manchester City, the army of members that Manchester City have at their disposal. It's incredible, but we can't forget that he is who was the commercial director from 2011. He is not a football expert. That's not his credentials. That is not his CV. There's a reason why NFL franchises were trying to appoint Omar Berrada. He can't be an expert in two sports at once. The guy's a commercial expert. He's a marketing expert. That's what his forte is. That's what he's a genius at. He's very, very good at it. And the forefront of United's statement was talking about football. Talking about how the impact he's going to have on the footballing side of things. They're being lied to. He is a commercial expert. Okay, a commercial expert. That's money, that's sponsorships. Though it's still the same pattern of Manchester United, as far as I'm concerned, where the focus is shirt sales, money, sponsors, revenue, not football. That's never been the focus since the Glazers have been there, very little. And they were able to paper over that cracks with Sir Alex Ferguson being there at that time and able to keep, he was the man behind the football. Now he's gone. They've suffered on the pitch ever since his disappearance from Manchester United, apart from his occasional appearance up in the gods at Old Trafford. But in terms of what Omar Berrada is bringing to the table, it is a commercial expertise. Okay? So, I mean, if I'm Omar, I'm guessing, and I'm completely speculating here, maybe there's a travelling side of things. Maybe he gets to be located more permanently in Manchester. Maybe his family's settled in Manchester now. Maybe his kids go to school in Manchester. I'm sure they do, if he's got children, that is. I don't even know. I mean, who knows what his personal reasons may be? We can't sit here and argue it like it's a football player. United fans are celebrating like it was like we did when Tevez went the other way. When Tevez joined Manchester City from Manchester United, or whatever the confusing loan situation was with those third-party situations at Manchester United and the shit show that was with Carlos Tevez. But with regards to the player that we signed, that was a real statement from Manchester City. That's something to shout about, something to go ha-ha to United fans. This is very little, but the fact that they're making such a meal of this is an indication of how little they've had to shout about in, the last decade. So I'm purely speculating here, but there's every chance that he's been asked, because we've got sister clubs in 5 continents around the globe, Manchester City, or CFG, do. But that's such global domination that the CFG group are trying to attain there and achieve, that he's required to be in many places across the world. Now he's going to be pretty much predominantly located in Manchester. It could be as simple as that, as well as a pay increase, because his roles and responsibility have now gone up. His requirements and his day-to-day tasks are going to go up in terms of what maybe he's allowed to flourish a little bit more at Manchester United. But don't forget, he's going from the most perfectly organised football club to an absolute shit show. So there may be a day one shock to the system for Omar Berrada, kind of similar how Alexis Sanchez turned up at training on that first day and couldn't believe the standards that he'd walked into. And at the very first day, he was regretting not signing for Manchester City, as has many other situations that are people going into that football club to see their careers rot and die. I'm not convinced that that's going to happen to Omar Berrada, and I don't want to diminish anything he's done for Manchester City, because that's petty. I really believe that I think he's obviously done fantastic things from a commercial perspective. And that then brings me on to the charges as to what Manchester United are now being lied to as well. Excuse me, as well. Martin Ziegler, for those that are wondering, is a Times journalist, one of the chief writers at the Times, who is one of the biggest journalists to write about the charges in a negative sense from Manchester City's point of view, in terms of looking at the charges and how damning they are and how much Manchester City are cheats, according to Martin Ziegler. Okay, the man is a liar. The man is an out-and-out liar. Okay, because our transfer policy is handled by Brian Marwood, Global Director of Football, and Cheeky Bergenstein, Director of Football. Omar Berrada was the commercial director from 2011 to 2016. Okay, that's when the heavy charges are being insinuated towards Manchester City in terms of what their behaviour was and their antics were with regards to sponsorship deals and the exaggeration and inflated value fraud. Basically, that's what we're being accused of, fraud in the sponsorship side of things and lying, basically, to what the value of our sponsorship deals were. Now, Manchester United are now clearing Omar Berrada. He is now separate to all that. United fans are now saying, no, he wasn't involved in Manchester City's. So it's like we had this boardroom meeting where it was this, on the front door it said, everyone is welcome, all boardroom members except Omar was on the front door of that boardroom meeting for all the cheating and sponsorship deals that were going on. It's like The Simpsons with Homer, when Homer was trying to get into the No Homers Club, but they already had a Homer in there, and it says, no, not No Homer, No Homers, plural. It's absolute jokers. These guys, man, are absolute morons. Anyway, so he had absolutely nothing to do with the transfers at Manchester City whatsoever, Omar Berrada. And the very first thing Mr. Martin Ziegler says in his little article regarding the appointment of Omar Berrada was, the man who led the negotiations to sign Erling Haaland for Manchester City has been appointed Manchester United's chief executive. That's an out-and-out lie. That is just downright lying. In the Times, he is out and out lying. He had nothing to do with it. It's cheeky Bergenstein and Brian Marwood, as well as Pep Guardiola and Ferran Soriano, our CEO. There's so many other people that will have been involved. He, at this point, from 2016 onwards, he was part of the CFG. He was part of the City Football Group, our sister club groups, all of the organisation that is CFG. Nothing to do with the transfer policy. They're the lies that are being fed to Manchester United fans right now, and let them lap it up. Because it's giving them false hope once again. They are consistently living off false hope as Manchester United fans. With regards to Manchester City, I don't think there's anything to worry about. And here, have a quick look at this as well, just to give you an idea. This is the leadership team of the CFG group. Here you can see Ferran Soriano, our Chief Executive Officer, Roald de Vries, Group Chief Operating Officer, Simon Cliff, General Counsel, Greg Swimer, Chief Technology Officer, Naraya Tar, Chief Marketing Officer, Carolyn McNabb, Chief People Officer, Cheeky Bergenstein, Director of Football, Brian Marwood, Managing Director of Global Football, and then all the way down here, as if they're ripping out the heart of Manchester City, all the way down this hierarchy, way down the pecking order, is Omar Berrada, who, he's done a fantastic job in the role that he was required to. I'm not knocking what he's done, but I am certainly knocking the importance of what this is going to mean for Manchester City. I think it's a good appointment for Manchester United. I think it's a step in the right direction for them. But make no mistake, the Glazers are still there. The rot is still very much there. The nucleus of their rot is still ingrained and embedded within that rotting football club. Make no mistake about it. Omar Berrada's got to sweep up after the Glazers now. That's his job. He's got to come up and sweep up after all the horrific mistakes that they've made and continuously made. And the theme of money is all that matters at that football club. They've brought in a commercial guy, and you want to know why? Let's have a listen. This is his job title. This is a description of Omar Berrada. Okay, Omar Berrada is Chief Football Operations Officer at City Football Group, not Manchester City, City Football Group. Prior to this, Omar was Chief Operating Officer at Manchester City Football Club, having been promoted in 2016 from Commercial Director for City Football Marketing. The commercial director. Do you know what commercial means, Manchester United? That's the money side of it, the marketing side of it, the sponsorship side of it. All the things we are being levelled at, all the charges that we are, in my opinion, completely innocent of. And it's a nonsensical argument from the Premier League that's all hinged on one hacker of information, which is going to get thrown in the bin. I've done plenty of videos on that subject. You can go and check them out for yourself if you're interested. But the man is just a marketing man. He's a money man. He's a very good one, an extremely good one. There's no denying that. I don't want to diminish what he's done. But they are lying to you in saying that this man is going to come in and change football. He's not a footballing man. There's a reason why the NFL were trying to appoint him. Multiple NFL franchises were trying to appoint Omar Berrada. He is extremely good at what he does, but football is not his expertise. We have other individuals that handle the transfer policy and the scouting networks at Manchester City. That is not Omar Berrada. Okay? Whereas Manchester United want to believe that they're bringing in this man who is able to sign the likes of Erling Haaland, and therefore they'll be able to sign that calibre of player, is just a nonsensical argument. It's nothing to worry about for Manchester City. In terms of Manchester United, the Glazers are still there, and the day they're not there is the day that I'll panic a little bit. That's the day I'll start to worry and think, oh God, no, that's a real step in the right direction. But the hypocrisy from Manchester United fans, who were all very much, well, a big portion of them, many YouTubers were very much against the Qatar, for the Qatar ownership model coming in. And why is that? Because they're going to bring in an infinite amount of money, along the same lines of Sheikh Mansour and his ownership model. They wanted to compete with City in that regard, with regard to having a huge transfer kitty similar to Manchester City. That's what they wanted. Instead, Sir Jim Ratcliffe comes in and takes over 25% of Manchester United, and therefore he's only got so much power at that club, and they don't like that. Now, the penny's starting to drop with Manchester United fans, that one, maybe Sir Jim Ratcliffe is actually trying to do things the right way and trying to employ a structure in the club that's been non-existent. It's basically been the Glazers and everyone else, just a mismatch of organogram of staff that makes no sense, with zero hierarchy other than the Glazers and everyone else, basically. Whereas Manchester City have just got this hierarchy and organogram of he reports to him, he reports to him, he reports to him, and this network of staff that is just the envy of the Premier League. The absolute envy of the Premier League, but they are being convinced by Martin Ziegler that this man is going to be the saviour of Manchester United all of a sudden. He's a stepping stone. He's a little pebble in the polluted puddle that needs fixing and needs diluting and becoming a better ran football club. But with regards to Manchester City, there's very little to worry about. It's a shame, but what he's left behind is sustainable. It's sustainable, and the reports are suggesting that they may be splitting that workload between the staff that are already there. So it's not a massive loss for Manchester City. It's a reasonably good decision for Manchester United to employ this man. I think that's about it. Once we see the effects on the football pitch from Omar Berrada suddenly arriving at Manchester United, it's going to take over a decade to see anything change on the pitch at Manchester United. For them to climb the ladder and overtake Manchester City again, they are at least a decade away from achieving that. And that's if City stands still. Do you think we're standing still? Do you think we're not making moves in the markets as well? Do you not think we've got plans? We're miles ahead of you, and that's the thing with copycats. You're always going to be behind Manchester City. Blues, what do you think about this? Rival fans, Manchester United fans, I'm sure you're very happy about that, but I mean, you need to get your house in order and have a real look at what you're actually appointing here and how little it is to actually shout about yet. You know, on the pitch is what matters, and they are being lied to. You, as United fans, are being lied to in believing that this man is going to change everything on the pitch for you. It's just not true. Absolutely not true. Get your comments in the comments below. I want to hear your thoughts. Like and subscribe. Typical City is the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.
This is Typical City now, holding up 2-1.